Hello everyone, my name is Jeff Neville and welcome to Selective Imagery. I started taking pictures when I was 7 or 8 years old, and I really shoot just about everything. And here's some samples of what I take, whether it be sunrises, alligators, birds. It's what I do a lot of right now. But I also do macro. I'll do small animals, and I'll do street photography, and I'll use my old cameras to take some black and white photos with. So here's a sample of one of my cameras coming up. So I'm a generalist, but right now I'm focused a lot on wildlife and birds in particular. So I hope you enjoy my channel, and let's get right to the show. Hello everyone, and welcome to Oystercatchers, Gators, and Friends. Here we have my friend Bob from Bob R Photos pointing to our public service announcement that if you come to the park, yes, alligators live here. They used to have signs that said alligators may be here, basically. I don't know why they lied for so many years. Since they breed here, they cross the street here, they go right by you here. Finally, they decided to tell you that they actually live here. Good idea. Now let's move on with the show. So of course we have to start with the gators. And this one's having fun eating. And you're going to see multiple shots. It's got the crab salad, as we call it, early in the morning. This one's just laying around relaxing in all the muck on the pond side. This one's kind of like half on a sandbar and half in the water. And here's a video clip of one downing a blue crab. And I didn't slow this one down, so this is full speed. I like the orange colored claw in there. Now the big one shows up and this little one says, "I'm getting out of Dodge. You're not going to steal my food." Still photo. This is for Roy. I hope he takes crocodile pictures for me, but this is the only croc I could find. So back to the gators. Some still images eating the crab. I'm really surprised there are crabs on the pond side. I mean, there really weren't very many, so I don't know if they're crossing the road at night from the marsh side, because they're not allowing the water to flow from the marsh side into the pond, and they've got the pond very low. I mean, here's a case in point, a green heron. You don't see a green heron often in a wide open space like this. They're usually in the thicket, in the trees. This is a little blue heron in that transition period where it's got a little bit of blue feathers and some white. And then here's a couple shots of a barn swallow. I can't resist but to shoot them. They're so fun. And a snowy egret in flight. And an ahinga sitting on the post just watching over things. Red-winged blackbird. It's interesting, all those specks that you see there are actually what they call no-see-ums. Insects that I do not like to walk near because they just bite you like crazy. They're very small. Great egret coming in for a landing. And here's a short video clip of a whole bunch of friends gathering together. Little blue herons in different color phases. Some of them more blue than white and the other way around. And some of them are pretty much at their full color. You got snowy egrets in here mixed in with the great egrets. And there's a whole other line of birds in the back that are kind of keeping separate. That one that flew in has an eel in its mouth. And you see the spoonbills and a few wood storks and a tricolor heron. And the spoonbills like to turn their head a lot. I don't know what it is with that, but they just like to do that. So here's a large grouping of spoonies. You can see the heads going back and forth. Beautiful color. Some Yellowlegs out there mixed in. Another shot, a few shots of a red-winged blackbird. A little blue that got some kind of a grasshopper, it looks like. And a great egret sitting up in the tree branches all by itself. And a group of snowy egrets with a tricolor heron. And I like trying to get the the spoonbills when they try to land in a group. Great blue heron with some small shorebirds near them. Spoonbill landing. Great egret in flight. I like it with the wingtips curled up a little bit here. Different background. Here's a quick video. You're gonna watch how patient this great egret is. Hopefully you're patient enough to watch it. There he goes. He actually got a very small shrimp down the hatch. And that's that. Come on, swallow it. Stretch your neck out. Little bluebird. An anhinga, just kind of drying off. These are a few shots of a little blue heron. Like this one's mostly white. Can't figure out how to land. He seemed like he was like really being confused here how he wanted to land, and finally he sticks to landing. I'll give him a 10.0. And then he manages to gobble up some food as soon as he gets down there. Now you're going to see some still images and eventually some video of an oystercatcher with the babies. And those oystercatchers are really, the young ones are lucky to be alive because they're not very big. And here's mom with something to eat. Now she'll put that mussel on the other side of the bank and open it up, and then the young ones go back there and you can't see them or get a picture of them while they're eating. You can see the band on the leg of the oystercatcher here. And then there's the young one there. Now they're basically this is in the Murrells Inlet Marsh Walk area. And we're shooting from a walking area that goes out pretty far into the water. And a lot of boat traffic in here. And these babies were small when we had the king tides. And when the king tides come in during the high tide, I mean, where they're standing right now would be underwater. So the fact that these babies made it through, I don't know if it was 3 or 4 nights in a row with the king tides, is a really good thing. There's actually 3 young ones. So many times when they try to nest, because they just throw some stuff on the ground, or create a little divot in the ground and lay their eggs. And then they're always in this precarious area where, you know, lots of times the eggs get wiped out. The babies never get born because of the tides. So to see some is a real thrill. Like I said, many years, you can have it where the young don't make it, so it's really nice to see them. You can see all the oyster shells there. Now they'll eat any of the bivalves, you know, it doesn't have to be specifically an oyster. They'll go and they'll get mussels as well, whatever they could find. But oysters are their favorite. They're pretty far away. I'm not sure if I'm using the I'm shooting with the 800, but I'm not sure if I'm trying to think now whether I was in DX mode or not, to be able to get a large enough image size of them. It's funny how the young one here is just going to keep harassing. I believe that's Dad. Yeah, push and push and push. Poke. Come on, Dad. Move it, move it, move it. Yeah, bird parents get harassed just like human parents do. Another video clip here. And I believe there are two babies there behind Mom on the right. Kind of blocked off. And eventually in some of these videos you'll see what looks like waves coming in, and that's basically the wake from the boats going by, because the boats get really close to where they are. I mean, they really have everything going against them in terms of being able to successfully have youngsters. Another video here, you can see the youngster's a little bit better. I believe Mom's going to walk off. Yeah, you can see what looks like little waves coming in. This isn't a marsh area, but at the same time, it's a very busy area for tourists. They rent jet skis. A lot of fishing boats come out of here and take people out on fishing trips. They have boats, you know, like, I guess, party boats where you could go out and, you know, get a little tour and have something to drink. And so a lot of restaurants around here that you could go to. I mean, it is really a good spot for some eating and a little bit of nature viewing. And although I didn't see any this day, usually there's a ton of brown pelicans that are on all the pier posts, but I didn't notice any today, so that was kind of weird. when the adults, like I said, when they bring the food, unfortunately, most of the time, where they open up the shell and the youngsters start to eat, it's usually where the bank goes down towards the water more, and you don't normally get to see them actually eat. Now, there's something that's in the grass there, some leftover food or something, and the one young one is poking at it. And then because the pond is so low, we got rabbits feeding in areas that are normally underwater. And this is a little blue in its full coloration, and a female cardinal. Now, my friend Bob and I, he had an electric bike. He drove out to the jetty area. I walked. We had walkie-talkies. We were talking back and forth, and I'm not sure, I don't want to over-exaggerate, but I think the walk for me was like 1.5 to 1.7 miles one way. And I got out there okay, but obviously Bob was out there a lot sooner than I was. He was there in a matter of minutes with the electric bike. I mean, I was probably walking a good 20 minutes, half hour before I got there. But we found this guy. It was wonderful to see him. I'll tell you right now, the autofocus system, as good as it is for the Z9 or really any brand camera, even though they're technically not contrast detect autofocus, they're phase detect autofocus or a hybrid there or of both. When you have a subject that is very, very has no contrast to it at all, like this mink, you would be surprised how many shots do not come out sharp, even though the camera says it's in focus. Now, what doesn't help is when you're out there very early in the morning, a fair amount of the shots don't come out sharp because you can't shoot at a high enough shutter speed without having a lot of noise in your images because there's not enough light yet. So this was the only video that I got of the mink. I took mostly stills. And you can see that piece of metal or whatever. There's just a lot of debris that's still laying around in the beach areas and everything from storm damage. And, that stuff has not been cleaned up. They are cute, but if you have too many of them, they can wipe out an ecosystem pretty quick because they are just such carnivores in terms of how many fish they eat and everything. They eat a lot of fish. This was actually a different mink as we were walking back, and this jetty is tarred. So my friend Bob, he was already heading back on his electric bike, and I saw a few ospreys in the sky diving into the ocean trying to get fish. So I took the opportunity to grab a few pictures, but because I kept stopping, and here you go with the claws out, because I kept stopping to get pictures, when I stopped, I was really hustling to try to get back to the parking lot and no go here with the fish, getting anything. So by the time I showed up and Bob saw me, I was like out of breath. Ran into this group of brown pelicans as well. I like this shot. They're all staggered just good enough. And this was in an area called the Straight Road, which is in another pond. And this is a least bittern. And this bird is interesting. It's one of the smallest herons there is. Has like a hunched appearance. It loves dense marshes with reeds, and I'm surprised it was even here because there are very few reeds. A lot of the reeds got damaged from the storms. But they have long toes and they wrap around the reeds. And pretty rare to see them. You hear them, but you don't see them much because they're inside the reeds all the time. So this was my friend Bob's first time seeing one. Excuse me. As you can see, I got some spoonbill pictures as always with a little bit of video footage of them. And people always, they always ask, where are the gators? Where are the spoonbills? You know, those are common things. And it's funny, some people misidentify the spoonbills. I've heard them, people call them, they think they're flamingos. One lady called them, said one day, where are the pink egrets? So you just smile, you let them think it is whatever they want it to be. Yeah, they like to twist their heads back and forth all the time. I don't know why that is so interesting to do. And lots of times if they're getting ready to fly, they'll stick their heads straight up, almost like they're determining the wind direction or the wind speed or what have you, and then shortly thereafter they fly. And once a few of them fly off, they don't all leave at the same time, but you know, once they start leaving, then okay, it's one or two here, a few minutes later, a couple more fly off, and before you know it, there isn't anybody left. Now sometimes they just go from one corner of the pond to another corner of the pond, or out to an island that's like in the middle of the pond, and they can go back and forth, but eventually they take off. But now's the time of year where pretty much you're guaranteed to see them every day, and a fair amount of them. You know, not like Florida, of course, but still a healthy amount show up. Stills image for you. Another video clip. Because I know you haven't had enough yet, so we have to overdose you on spoonbill footage. But depending where you may live, you may not ever see these where you are. Depends where in the world you live. Snowy egrets like to intermingle with them quite a bit. But it's funny, you know, like in one of the earlier videos, you saw like a huge area where there were snowies and great egrets and little blues, and they were all kind of in a huge row, one after another, and then it's like the next tier in was the spoonbills. And here's a great egret. Now here's some baby anhinga. Anhingas are younglings in the nest, and the adult is farther up in the tree. The young one's trying to get their attention. And I've shown video before where I'll let you hear them cackling and making noise. This is a black-crowned night heron, and this is a different black-crowned night heron on a different tree branch. And a gray egret by itself. This is not a fantastic photo, but I love the background. That's a yellow-crowned heron, actually. And those are tricolors going after each other. I like the blurriness of the wings here in this shot. There's a tricolor landing. And a great egret with an eel, and I think there might be a video coming up. And I don't know what it has in its mouth there. I don't know if it's a small crab. This large gator. This is one of the larger ones. You will see a video later of the egret eating the eel. And here's the blue crab in this gator's mouth. A sequence of shots. Like the orange claw, like I said. Some nice shots where you can... And it's just amazing, you know, how long it takes for them to eat it because, you know, yes, they have the bite strength and they can grab anything with those teeth and not let go, but they can't shear the food at all. I mean, basically, they have to just keep crushing it and biting it and softening it up until pieces break off because the opening to go down the throat is not as big as you think it is. Now, here's one that moved in somewhat close to shore, and we knew it had something in its mouth, and we were pretty sure there was a crab in there, along with the grasses and some muck, obviously. And eventually you'll see a video here, another video, and you'll see what it got. And here we go. The gator's moving in even closer to the embankment before you would go up and actually go up the rocks and go across the road. So he kind of moves in with whatever's in his mouth, and then eventually he kind of slides back a little bit, and then you'll get a chance to see what he's got. But I mean, the water's really filthy there. It's all mucky and dirty, and I'm sure it doesn't make the food taste any better. So in a second you'll see definitely what it is. There you go. Pretty obvious it's a crab. And that's an average size one, so that one should go down relatively good. When they get the real big ones, it's a battle. And it's always good to have some greens with your seafood. It's pretty much gone now. Come on. Get it down there. There we go. Blow a few bubbles in the water. There you go. You're all set. Great blue heron with an eel. And here's a video. Now these are small eels. I mean, a year or two ago, when you'd have low tide on the marsh side, this is on the pond side, all this footage is on the pond side. That's where everybody's hanging out, even at low tide now on the marsh side. For whatever reason, they're not hanging over there very much. But a few years ago, they'd be getting these huge green eels that were, I mean, really large in diameter. They were long, they were fat. That was quite the fight. And here's another eel that this great egret has. And you can tell how low the water is on the pond side. I mean, just look, he's walking, and I mean, I don't think that water's more than 3 or 4 inches deep there. And that is not like, 2 feet from shore. I mean, that's out in the pond pretty far. That's how ridiculously low they've made the water levels. Now they like to dip the eels in water. Makes it easier to go down. If I remember right, he'll probably do that at least one more time before he eats it. There we go. Rub it in there pretty good. There we go. Bottoms up. All gone. Till you get the next one. Here's a few stills of one getting a shrimp. And here you can see its body is severed a little bit near the head. So that went down good. Here's one getting a small fish. I mean, these fish are so small, I don't even know why they bother, but they do. Here's a clump of spoonbills again, with a couple tricolors mixed in. And this was a funny shot. This giant gator, he swam out to the opposite side of the pond, and the spoonbills were just staring at him, watching him. So that's it. I hope you enjoyed this presentation. Do me a favor, give me a like, subscribe. Doesn't cost you anything to subscribe. So, let me know that you appreciate what I do for the channel, and show me some love, man. Give me a few likes, make some comments, and subscribe and share with your friends. And as I say, enjoy life, capture some of it, get out there and get some of your own great images, no matter what they are, no matter what gear you use, whether it's digital or film, it doesn't matter. Just go out there and shoot. Thanks a lot. Have a good one.